Hey guys, welcome back to another Tiny Camper Diaries. Obviously, I'm not on the road anymore. I'm in my backyard. Tiny camper's behind me, getting ready to be put into storage for a few weeks. I was set to be on the road until November 9th, 7 weeks, starting back in September on September 22nd. And man, after 6 weeks, I just had to pull the plug, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that my Black Friday sale is happening early. It's right now, and so now through November 13th, you can receive 25% off of every print in my gallery by using the discount code SAVE25. SAVE25, all lowercase, all one word. Just use that code during checkout. Not only will you receive the standard free shipping, but you'll get 25% off of your order. And it's a great opportunity if you've been looking at some prints and you have some favorites to pick those up for yourself, but also to get some prints for anybody you know who is just a nature lover. And so jump over to shop.andycrawford.photography and just let me know if you have any questions. All right, back to the trip. So again, I left the house September 22nd. Man, I was really excited about being on the road for 7 weeks, alternating from shooting bass fishing tournaments with Bassmaster and shooting nature photos for my gallery all over the southeast, and it was a great trip, man. It was really tiring. I hit a wall about 4 weeks. I was really homesick. The week number 5 was really difficult for me, but I just saw some beautiful stuff. I saw that whole sort of lower Smoky Mountains region in fall color, and man, it was just glorious. I don't get the opportunity to see a lot of fall color, so I was really excited about it. I started in South Carolina at Lake Hartwell with Bassmaster. When I finished up, I headed to the Nantahala Mountains outside of Franklin, North Carolina, where I love to camp. I just love that area. And on the way through the Cherokee foothills, I was looking for waterfalls, and I found a waterfall I had never heard of. And this is Reedy Cove Falls. It's a gorgeous waterfall. There's 2 main parts. There's a third that's sort of hidden. Not sort of. It's hidden back in those trees. But it's a really big, sprawling waterfall. It took a while to really find the right angle that I could really encapsulate the feeling of that waterfall, and it was just a wonderful experience. And so the only thing it's missing is that fall color, because it was still September. It was still a little early in the foothills, and so it didn't have the fall colors. But one day I'm going to be there when that happens, and I will reshoot that one. But that was a great way to start the trip. And so I go to the Nantahalas. I end up back in South Carolina, and I saw a sign that really surprised me. I've got this goal to shoot all of the national parks in the continental U.S. before I die, and I think at that point I had visited 8, and I came, heading to Santee Cooper. I see this sign that says Congaree National Park. I didn't know anything about Congaree National Park. I'd heard about the Congaree swamps, and that's exactly what it is. It's a big portion of the swamp, and man, it is beautiful. Mosquitoes were terrible. The temperatures were pretty warm, and so the mosquitoes were as bad as they ever thought to be here in Louisiana. But I love the swamps, and so me and a buddy went to Congaree and spent a day sort of banging around looking at it. And this is the first image I took. And it's just, man, if you look at this image, it's just such a peaceful image. It's got that really slick water. It's early in the morning, so there's a little fog rising. It's got those leaves floating in the water, and that nice, those flooded trees in the background. And I love that. I've got a lot of photos that I really need to go through from that trip to Congaree. I honestly, I haven't taken a lot of time to do that because I got caught up in the mountain photography and the waterfalls, and which is, I love that. But I need to go back and I need to work on those, and so I'll be sharing some of those in the coming weeks. But man, this was a great way to sort of encapsulate the feeling of the Congaree. It's really peaceful. It's really quiet. And I love the swamp, being from South Louisiana. So I leave there. I go to Alabama, and I go to Little River Canyon National Preserve. End up back in, where did I go? I guess it was back to oh, it was after Santee Cooper, and we had, me and some other guys from the team, head to the Smoky Mountains National Park. I mean, you have to do that, right? And man, I'd never seen it in great fall color, and we were a little early in terms of the peak. The reds were still starting to develop, but man, the golds were crazy. The golds and the yellows were everywhere. First thing I did, though, is I got there in that late afternoon, and I headed straight up to Klingman's Dome, which is the highest point in the park, and waited for a sunset. And man, look at this! I get this beautiful sunset. It's got that iconic layering of the mountains that you see in the Smokies. The sun is sinking through the haze, and so it turns into this really round, ball of gas, and it's peaking, still peaking above some distant clouds, and so it was a great way to start my time in the Smoky Mountains National Park. To make it even better, I just waited for the crowds to thin out after that sunset. I just moved the tiny camper to the most level parking spot I could find, and I slept right there. I cooked dinner up there, and slept right in the parking lot. Woke up the next morning hoping for a sunrise, but the clouds had moved in. It was really socked in, and it even had some rain. And it was really hairy on the way down, because it was the cloud / fog was really, really thick. But I just headed down the mountain and started shooting. I spent a day and a half shooting just amazing color, just shooting the streams and oh man, the overlooks. It was beautiful. Well, on the last morning, I'll go back up to Newfound Gap, hoping for a sunrise. I'd slept down in a pull-off at about 5,500 feet. And man, there were no clouds in the sky. There was no color. There was just nothing happening for the sunrise. Well, I looked down, and there's a portion of Newfound Gap Road you can see that's sort of snaking through the ridges of the mountain. And I'd seen that earlier, and I wanted to get that shot, that section of the road with all that beautiful fall color around it. But man, it was just so hazy. The Smokies get hazy, and it just never seemed to work. And I looked down there that morning as the sun is just topping the mountains, and it's throwing this beautiful light across those ridges, and this is what happens. Man, it was just amazing. This photo is really outside of my normal style, but when I saw that, I knew what I wanted to do, and so what I did in processing is I deepened those shadows. There were shadows. That sunlight was coming across the top of those ridges, really lighting those trees up, leaving the valleys, between the ridges, in shadow. Well, I deepened those shadows a little bit so that it really brings out that color on the tops of the ridges, and what it left was really sort of an abstract view of the mountains. And again, it's outside of my normal style, but I love it. I just really love this image. You can see Newfound Gap Road in the shadows. You can see all that color being topped by the sunlight, and so it was really awesome. After that trip, I ended up going to Alabama. I ended up going back to Tennessee, and my last tournament before I ultimately decided to come home. But it was my last tournament in the Southeast before I had to head to Texas, was at Lake Cherokee. And so before I headed to Lake Cherokee, I went to a place that has really become special for me. It is, I believe, one of the best kept secrets in the Lower Smoky Mountains. It's called the Tellico River. I camped just off the river and just a pull off, which I really have fallen in love doing with the little tiny camper. And the Tellico River, it's untamed. There's no water control structures on it. There's no dams. It's just a natural, wild Smoky Mountains river, and it is beautiful. There's only one road in it. There's one spot where people congregate. There's two waterfalls, and so people will congregate around those waterfalls. And one of them, the best view is right there on a bridge that crosses Bald River, that where it meets Tellico River. And it'll get a little congested there, but outside of that, it's just really not well known. So you know, I got to really work that river for all it was worth, just almost by myself. Felt like, for the most part, I had, you know, that river to myself. And the last morning, I took what really I think is my favorite image of the entire 6 weeks. And this is, let me get it right here. This is what is known as, I didn't know this when I took it, this is called Diaper Wiper. It's just below Baby Falls. And it's called Diaper Wiper apparently because the kayakers come off of Baby Falls, and then this is a really shallow rock rapid, and so their kayaks are just scraping those rocks, just like it'd be wiping your diaper, I guess, and so they've nicknamed it Diaper Wiper. But you know, I've shot this part of the river before, but never with any real fall color. And if you look at this, you know, it's got red, it's got orange, it's got some gold in there. Still wasn't peak, but it was beautiful. You had the you know, the fallen leaves on the rocks and in the rapids itself. And so it's just a beautiful image. It was a wonderful way to end my time in the Smokies in October. And that was when I hit the wall. I mean, I really hit the wall. When I left the Tellico River the morning that I took that shot, I was just brain dead from being on the road for at that point 5.5 weeks. And I dragged the campers' stabilizing jacks off, forgot they were down, and just took off and just dragged them off. And so that was really pretty much the last straw. I was homesick. I was ready to be home. But when I did that, I called my wife and I said, that's it. I'm coming home for just a couple of days, just to get a break from the road. And you know, and so here I am. I head off pretty quick to Texas to finish out the Bassmaster Elite Series season. Then I'll have 2 more opens to cover. The last one, MTA, my wife, I call her my trusty assistant. She's coming with me. We're taking the camper, and we're going to go camping for about 10 days after that to sort of make up for lost time while I was on the road 6 weeks by myself. All right, guys. Well, look, I hope y'all enjoyed that overview. I hope you jump over to shop.andycrawford.photography to see all of the new prints. And again, don't forget, you can save 25% through November 13th using the discount code SAVE25, SAVE25, all lowercase, all one word, during checkout. Just use that code during checkout and you'll get 25% off, plus you always get free standard shipping. All right, guys, I'm gonna put the camper up and pack for the Texas Bassmaster Elite Series.